Automation and digital thread. We're here with Hexagon to find out more about these key concepts and how they can help improve productivity within your organisation. So Matt, let's start with automation.
Thanks, Lindsay. I think automation is obviously a key critical term within the industry a lot at the moment, and what we often get asked by customers is what principles we really need to understand to adopt this properly. So what we've tried to do is break this down into a series of kind of key overview ideas that hopefully people can adopt to help them on that journey towards automation. So in terms of these key considerations for automation, the first one that we encourage everybody to think about is streamlining repetition. What are the labour-hungry elements of your process that you're wasting an awful lot of time on at the moment that you are doing pretty much the same thing every time? Now, when we talk about repetition, sometimes it might be in slightly different ways. You want some kind of element of flexible automation that is going to take care of the 80% of your job that's causing you grief every day. Quite often we speak to people and they go, oh, I'm concerned about automation, is it going to de-skill the job? Actually, our findings are completely opposite. Automation is about making the most of the key skills you have and applying them to the really complex concepts that you need that expertise for. As a third point, I think this is kind of a common concept and something that we often forget. Of short-term pain, long-term gain. You've got to be committed to putting in that work up front to deliver automation because you truly believe in what it's going to give you in the long term. If the first time you encounter a problem you slip back to your old methodology, the concepts of automation are not going to work for you. You've got to have a long-term vision of what you want to achieve. Fourth, flexibility and agility. As we've spoken about previously, the world is becoming more nuanced and more heterogeneous, and people need to have greater agility to be able to adapt to a greater variability of scenarios. So what's important with your automation is that it's not rigid. A rigid process is doomed to fail in kind of our next phase of industrial revolution. So what you need is dynamic automation that can adapt to the scenario that's put in front of it and kind of learn on the fly. And finally, I think this is kind of a point that obviously will appeal to the CFOs out there. We've got to make sure that your automation is commercially scalable. So what we mean by that is don't invest millions of pounds on a concept that might take 5 years to see any kind of payback. What you want to be doing is picking on the elements of the process that obviously can be connected together but can start paying back very, very quickly and scale up from there. Like we often mention, it's great to share success stories within your business early, and if you can pick on areas where you can deliver an element of automation and then scale from there, you're going to create a real good feeling within your business.
Right, next then, digital thread.
Indeed. When we talk about the digital thread, there's kind of two main phases to this. I think the first thing that we've got to really hammer home to people is that you must have a digital thread in place now. Where we are heading into 2021, this is a real key, critical concept. And if you like, a phase one digital thread is something that every customer should have. So what you can see behind us is what we consider to be a production software digital thread for a mould and die industry. So our visualise CAD solution, which kind of gives you full mould design functionality, polymer flow analysis. Our Work NC CAM product, which is fantastic for 5-axis mould work. And finally, our NC Simul product for G-code simulation. Now, this is what we would call a traditional linear digital thread. This is something that all customers should have in place already, regardless of what their vendor is, where you've got a clear process for your data to flow through. So there's no breaks in the chain. So from the moment that you take CAD data on to your finished component, you've got this clear digital line, if you like, running throughout your business, which obviously creates greater continuity in your data, easier automation, and just a cleaner process over in the business. However, what we are starting to see as time goes on is a real evolution in the understanding of digital thread. Our linear model, as we looked at below, sometimes can be misadopted by customers, and what we see is a rigidity of process where people are taking on a concept that lodges them into a fixed process, and then they have no agility. And as we've talked about before, the customer is becoming more demanding in the nuances that they want from you. So what's really important is that you can evolve your digital thread into a kind of 360-degree vision, if you like, spokes in the wheel, where actually, rather than having to follow your process end to end, you can step into that process at any point in the chain and have connectivity. And as we see, this allows us to kind of evolve that one step further into this concept of a true 360-degree digital thread through design and engineering, production and manufacturing, and quality and inspection. So what suddenly you then have is this idea that your data connects throughout your full process, but also you're then able to really understand the value of that data and plug it back into your business. So to try and explain this a little bit further, once you have this kind of three-pronged circle, if you like, of process, you're able to manage that process far better. You've got an agile process management platform that maybe fits around that process to manage it. And then to take this one step further, it allows you to properly manage quality through statistical process control, products like QDAS. And finally, when you plug in products like SFX, our cloud-based asset management solution, you're able to achieve real-time visibility over exactly what's happening in your factory. So what we're taking is a linear process, which we were 2 slides ago, into this full 360-degree vision of your factory, where you can completely control the process end-to-end. You can learn the lessons from each stage in the process and continually improve, and you can have full visibility and control over every element. You've got control, but you've got agility.
And who are all these concepts, these key concepts aimed at? Who can take on board all of this?
I think we are talking about quite conceptual stuff here, Lindsay, and apologies if I haven't lost anybody along the way, but realistically this is pitched at people who've got these big challenges to deal with, who are looking at how they manage production from end to end, how they're going to prepare their company for a digital future. And really, this is the kind of thing that we're encouraging people to do. It's not about individual point solutions. It's about looking at your process end to end and creating this ecosystem, if you like, digital ecosystem within your business that's going to allow you to manage productivity, quality and agility end to end.